My name is Larissa Saco. I'm a Mellon Public Scholar and Sociology PhD student at UC Davis, and today I will be presenting the Davis Centennial Seal Storytelling Project, which I worked on in partnership with the City of Davis Arts and Cultural Affairs program. The program's mission is to support community-based arts projects, cultural opportunities, and education initiatives that foster excellence, diversity, and vitality in the arts. In commemoration of the City of Davis Centennial in 2017, local artist Susan Shelton created a bronze seal 6 feet in diameter, which has been installed in front of the historic Dresbach-Hunt-Boyer Mansion in downtown Davis, California. The seal represents the city in a multifaceted way through a circular ring design that tells ongoing human and natural histories through multiple themes. These include aspiration, community, cooperation, global citizenship, leadership, innovation, engagement, stewardship, vision, and optimism. To further bring the seal's themes and stories to life, I worked with Susan Shelton and Rachel Hartso, Program Manager for the Arts and Cultural Affairs program, to schedule and conduct interviews with local community members about the people, places, and events depicted in the seal. 11 interviews have been conducted with community members so far, many of whom Susan initially consulted to design the seal. One of these community members is Robin Kuleko, who played a leading role in the restoration of Puda Creek. She shares her experience working with Susan as the seal's content was first being developed.
But it was so exciting when she started asking me questions about the creek. And she already knew a lot about the ecosystem on the creek. But she has portrayed the animals and plants so beautifully and around the outside of the seal. She really understood the connections with the university and the community and the creek, and that Davis is a place where people volunteer and try to make the world a better place. And she just did a beautiful job.
As part of the landscaping surrounding the seal, the plaza includes bricks inscribed with names commemorating Davis community members, whose contributions, large and small, past and present, have been and continue to be influential to the local area and community. Janet Mercurio, a local tree planter and activist in the city and region, shares the collective effort of designing the brick honoring Dr. Isao Fujimoto, founding member of the Asian American Studies Department and Community Development Graduate Program at UC Davis, and a scholar activist in sustainable practices and rural community development.
When Susan told us about this project, her husband John, who also lived there at the time, said, why don't we go together and get a brick in Isao's honor? And so we sent out the emails, and so many people wanted to become involved, and we did. And we worked as a group to decide what the brick should say because it had limited spaces and limited rows. So we worked together via email group discussions, and we came up with Isao Fujimoto, PhD, teacher, organizer, mentor, author, friend.
The community members interviewed discussed an array of stories represented in the seal, from the Davis Bike Lane and the Dresbach-Hunt-Boyer Mansion to the city's co-ops and the Davis Farmers Market. They also discussed social action and change in connection with the civil rights movement, divestment from apartheid South Africa, women's rights, and the farm workers movement. Sharing their knowledge and experiences next are Dick Holdstock, an organizer of the Davis bus ride to the march from Selma to Montgomery, Melinda Welsh, a leader of the Measure A divestment campaign, and Bob Bowen, member of the board of directors for the U.S. Bicycling Hall of Fame.
The next morning, we got up and we were put on a bus and taken out to join the march, which was coming from Selma. Oh boy, if something would really make your heart reach out to them, it was watching these people. The guy in the front, one of the people in the front was on crutches. And the guy next to him was Martin Luther King. And the guy walking along the side of the road with a banjo in his hand was Peter Seeger. So and then there was hundreds of people going back. And we learned that march, they did about 10 miles a day. It's 50 miles from Selma to Montgomery. The next morning we had to get up early because we were being sent out now to join the march. It was actually downtown Montgomery. And we marched to the State House, the state building, and the speaker, primary speaker, of course, was Martin Luther King.
We were pretty early in Davis in getting this to happen in our city, to get our city to say, we recognize that apartheid, South Africa, that this system of, basically this systemized white supremacy is an abomination and shouldn't exist. And we shouldn't be, allowing our money from our tax dollars to go and profit from this horrible form of government.
Greenbelt bike paths, some on street, some university. So now you can actually follow the arrows all around town and ride about a 12-mile bike loop around town, which people come to town to ride, just to ride it. It goes through neighborhoods, goes through the university, through near Pewter Creek. So it's pretty phenomenal. So the bike infrastructure all goes back to some of those things in the early 60s where they were trying to figure out, what do we do with all these bikes? How do we keep it safe? And then now it is kind of part of the fabric of the community.
In addition to asking storytellers about the broader context and significant moments of the past, I also asked them to reflect on the meaning that their experiences continue to hold, and any lessons learned that they would like to share with people today. Sharing their reflections and wisdom from longtime work in the Davis community are Ann Evans, co-founder of the Davis Co-op and Farmers Market, and Sandy Holman, founder and director of the Culture Co-op.
I think the power of food as a central part of our life, not just that it nourishes us, which it does, but it nourishes us physically, but also on the level of the soul. If you know that you're at the market and the food is already calling to you and you're walking down and it's fall, so there's purples with eggplant and golds with the yellow bell peppers and the reds of the tomatoes and the last of the yellow corn, and you're just seeing these colors, and you're experiencing and you're smelling and you're feeling fall. That grounds you in where you live. And that, I think, is a nourishment for the soul. You can take that in.
What you've learned in the past is critical to understanding where you are now and where you want to go in the future. In fact, there's a term called Sankofa, an African term, which means go back and fetch your past, so it can guide you in your present and guide you in where you want to go in the future. Because if we learn from the past, we're less likely to make some of the awful mistakes that we can make that are hurtful to people, although we still make them. And we're less likely to waste time trying to come up with new things that people have already come up with solutions for. And we can glean from the things that worked and keep those in place, and we can get rid of the things that didn't work too much. And it makes society a better place.
During the project, I also spoke with local school teachers, librarians, and city staff to collect resources and recommendations for incorporating the stories into school-based curricula and activities in the future. The city hopes to interview more community members and evolve this project into an ongoing resource for educational, historical, and public programming purposes. If eligible, please consider applying for the Mellon Public Scholars Program to build on this project in the summer of 2022. Please also stay tuned for more interview content to be published at the City of Davis website. Thank you for watching, and thank you to everyone who made this storytelling project possible. Take care.